Hello YouTube, back with another clip here, and as you can see, this is just another project that I purchased from Copart. This is a 2009 Chevy Silverado that I'll be doing some work on, and as you can see, we have a front end damage, and also there's some side damage on the driver's side. Hello YouTube, got another project for you today, and this is a hood for a 2009 Chevy Silverado we're working on. Have it parked outside here, which had front end damage from Copart. And this is our minimite 5 we're working with today, which we're gonna put to the test to review the quality. Okay, and we have our paint and clear coat here on the table, which we'll be using for this project. I like to make sure that I have everything mixed. Reducer is already in the paint and the activator is already in the clear. Give it a nice shake to make sure that all of the chemical reactions that are supposed to take place are proper. And this is our clear coat that we're working here with. One which I really like to use here, which I'm familiar with. Have not tested too many, but I find that this seems to work great for the projects that I use. And this is what we're using here. Okay, now in this section, I'm just going to go over the hood with some glass cleaner here, some Windex glass cleaner. I come to find on some deep deposits, it works real great and easy to remove those with a clean microfiber towel here. And I'll also go over that with the spray bottle of water to remove the solvents from the glass cleaner after I'm done. But I come to find for surface prep, at times glass cleaner may be a good option before you move on to certain steps. So that's one of the steps, and on this step here, I'm just giving it a nice blow to make sure that the solvents from the glass cleaner are nice, dry, so that it's not spotty before I move on to the next prep step, which I plan to do here. So we'll give it a good blow, a nice wipe, and then we'll move on to the other step here just to make sure that everything is nice, clean, and smooth. Now we have our bottle of spray water here, and I come to find when it comes to contaminants, water is pretty much your best solution that can break down these deposits and contaminants that are there before we move on to the degreaser. And I got another clean microfiber towel here, and I'm just passing it through just to make sure that I remove any leftover deposits from the glass cleaner that should not be there, that would affect the adhesion process of the paint. We don't want that. Okay, now in this section here we have our degreaser, and I'm going to give it a nice thorough wet surface here, and then I'll pretty much just go over the whole area with another clean towel just to see to it that there's no grease, there's no fingerprints, no added deposits that may interfere with our adhesion process for the paint here. So we always want to make sure that our prep work is up to par, because this is where everything takes place, which kind of predicts what our outcome will be when it comes to painting. So we want to make sure we have a smooth surface that's nice and clean with no added like dust or things that may interfere with the quality of our paint. Okay, now also before we move on to the next step, I like to do just a little finger test here just to see how sticky the surface is, and it's real tacky, it's real dry, so we know that we should not have a problem with our paint sticking here. Okay, now we have our tack cloth, which is an option because in my opinion this hood is real tacky, but just for extra insurance here, I'm going to pass a tack rag, because actually before this step I had it sitting for about 5-10 minutes, and there's just dust around the whole area at times, and for extra measures I like to just pass a tack cloth when I'm away from the project here just to see to it that no pieces of dust or any debris might have landed on the hood before we start to lay down our paint, because we don't want that stuff there and then we're painting and then it shows in our painting process. So we want to make sure that we got a good, nice, clean surface here, even if it requires an extra step. It's all about the outcome, and what we want here is a good outcome for our paint. So I'm giving it just passing through it with a tack rad every section. Be careful with the clothing that you wear, because that also, if you're sweating and your shirt has moisture, that can also get on your surface, and you don't want that, because that may also affect the adhesion process. So we'll give it a nice pass here, and I'm going over it twice just to see to it that I give it a good nice wipe. As you can see, we're getting ready to lay down our paint now. And now, because this hood has different areas of primer in that sealer, where some parts are black and then some parts are white, so for extra measures here, my first coat I'm going to lay down light just to focus on those areas where we have our light spots, so that I can get this surface a little bit more symmetrical, so that when I'm actually ready for my heavier coats of paint, I don't have a hard time trying to get that paint to blend in with the black here. We kind of like depleted those black areas to where everything would be a bit more symmetrical. Make sure you have some sort of a barrier so that you're not inhaling the material that's coming out of the gun here. Just for health issues, we don't want that. And as you can see here, I'm just doing my light pass left and right. I'm doing about a 50-50 overlap. I'd say about 6 inches away from the part that we're painting here. And we want to start from one end to the other, and we just keep it going from there. And then whichever side we go from, we want to make sure that we start on that side and then we end on the opposite side. So pretty much just left and right, even passes here. And then I'm watching the paint, I'm watching the gun, I'm pretty much watching everything that's taking place here. And when it comes to our clothing, make sure that our clothing is nicely tucked in, because we don't want that hitting the part, because that's just an extra issue that we can avoid at times, and we don't want that. So now I'm getting ready for my other coat here. This is actually like the second pass after that first pass that I used to kind of seal the hood. And this is like 10-15 minutes later, I would say. It's looking much better. And it looks symmetrical. Now in this portion, I just want to show you how I have my turbine set up. I actually keep it set up outside so that it's not in the environment of the paint, which extends the life of the filters that are in the machine here. This is another project that we have going on, and this is the hood to the Silverado. It actually had a whole front end damage, and I've already installed the bumpers, the headlights, and this is just the hood that we're working on. Now we're still working on our paint. The surface actually looks good, but I like to give it a good rich pass, and I'm watching everything, just making sure that the paint is symmetrical on all corners. And I'll give it a good, nice, easy, wet pass here, and I'll let that flash for about 15 minutes before we move on to our clear coat. But nothing changes. We're still doing our passes from left to right with a 50-50 overlap. And then I'm watching each of the passes that I'm doing here, because we don't want striping. We want to make sure that our overlaps are even, and that judging by how it looks, that our passes are symmetrical on all ends. So we're pretty much doing a pass here, left and right. I'm watching the hood, watching the paint, seeing what it's doing. And then from there, I'm kind of judging to see what needs what. Do I have to pass a little more on this end, or Am I not giving enough on this side? And I'm pretty much taking it from there, but you always want to make sure that your passes are always even. And after I'm done laying down this layer of paint here, I'll actually let it flash for like 15 minutes before we move on to the next step. Now, pretty much got the gun set up already, and this is our clear coat, which we're gonna layer over the hood here. So I'll start off from one end. I'm kind of just checking it. Now, when it comes to clear, you always want to make sure that you're very careful how you lay it down to prevent runs. Everything plays a part as far as how wet you have it going to the distance of the spray gun from the part that we have here. And you want to make sure that those passes are even to the T. If you have it 5 inches, just stay 5 inches for the whole surface. If you're on a 50-50 overlap, continue with that 50-50 overlap and do not change your parameters that you have set on how you're applying your clear coat here. And this is the first coat. It's in the flashing process. Looks fair to my liking, but at the same time, I'm kind of examining the part, and I could see that with an extra coat here, we may get a better quality surface. So I'm going to let it flash for like 5 minutes, and then I'll lay down another layer of clear. Okay, now as you can see in this section here, our paint is still flashing, and we're about, I'd say, 5 minutes in. And we happen to have a little booger that landed on our paint here, and I have my picking utensil. And I'm just doing my best to see how much of that debris I can remove from it. It did leave a small shadow, I guess, from the debris that I removed, but I'll remove as much of it as I can, and I'll pass like another spot of clear just in that area for it to settle, and I'm happy with it. Now I'm just examining the part here, watching what the clear is doing as it's going through its flashing phase here. And looks a little lumpy, but it's shiny. It's a nice layer of clear. And we can't completely judge by what it's doing now because it's still flashing. But we'll give it about 15 minutes, I'd say, and we'll let that clear kind of settle. And we'll judge to see how it looks from there. Okay, so the hood is still going through its flashing stages here, and we'll kind of just let it sit a little. We'll give it about 10 minutes to see how it flashes, and then depending on how it looks, I'll decide whether I need to give it another coat or not. But yes, things are looking nice here. And as we move on to this clip, you can see compared to how the prior clip looked, you can see that our clear coat is actually flashing, but it's also settling a little better, meaning to where the surface has much more of a glassier appearance and not as lumpy as it seemed before. But you can see that it's real shiny. It's a heavy layer of clear, and the flashing process, most of it is completely done. But to be honest, when it comes to clear coat, I come to find I give it about 24 hours before I kind of make the decision to do anything else. But as you can see, we have 2 wet coats here, heavy wet coats, and it's flashing and it's looking much better. And after this part, I'd say this is about 30 to 40 minutes in, and it's real glossy as far as what I did want to achieve. I believe I did achieve that here, and I did get one run over the area where I had the booger. So what I plan to do is sand that down and just give it a wet sand and buff to level that area out. But other than that, the hood looks real shiny. It's real clear coated here. It's a heavy layer, so we have a good UV protection for that paint, so it shouldn't be bothered by the sun here. So what I'm gonna do now, everything is looking nice, clear. I'll let it sit for about 24 hours, and then the next day I'll get to assembling the part, and then I'll give you a look here on the next clip. And here we go. This is the hood on the actual vehicle. I'm just seeing how it looks compared to the other body parts, and we have a nice blend. And just doing some adjustments here. This truck does have other damages I plan to focus on, and those will be on other videos that I present. Thank you.